The Kaaba has stood for over 1,400 years, untouched by politics, protected by tradition, until now. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman isn't just transforming Saudi Arabia's economy, he's transforming Islam's most sacred space. Vision 2030 promised innovation, reform, and economic reinvention. But deep inside the Grand Mosque of Mecca, it is faith itself that is being redesigned. What began as a national roadmap is now an ideological infrastructure. Biometric entry gates, AI-optimized prayer routes, surveillance woven into sanctity. The King Salman Gate isn't just a monument, it's a portal into a new age of Islam, where the future is coded and belief is monitored. MBS's greatest gamble is not NEOM, not Aramco, not the Red Sea project. It's whether the Muslim world will follow him into a Mecca built for the next 1,000 years. The Gate of Power. The King Salman Gate is the most ambitious architectural insertion into Mecca since the Ottoman expansions, and it's far more than an entrance. It is the symbol of a new theology of control, spanning over 12 million square meters and designed to accommodate 900,000 pilgrims. The gate is the physical embodiment of MBS's future-first vision. It's wrapped in marble, laced with surveillance fiber, and elevated as a monument not just to Islam, but to the state that governs it. Beneath its ornate arabesques lies a complete digital nervous system. Every entry point is equipped with palm readers and facial recognition. Every hallway is monitored by real-time thermal cameras. The sacred act of entering Mecca has become a security protocol, a biometric rite. Officials describe the gate as a portal to order, where chaos, risk, and deviation are quietly filtered out before they reach the prayer floor. But that's just the surface. The gate's foundation hosts subterranean command centers, staffed by cyber analysts, behavioral engineers, and royal security units. This is not just about who comes to pray, it's about knowing why they came, who they're with, how they move, how they speak, and what they think. MBS has fused the divine threshold with digital statehood, and in doing so, he's positioned himself not just as steward of the mosque, but as architect of a new kind of Islam, one that flows through bandwidth before belief, one where the holiest city is also the most watched. The sacred algorithm. In the shadow of the Kaaba, ancient rituals are being redirected by invisible hands. AI systems now dictate optimal crowd dispersal, syncing spiritual moments with mathematical precision. Every pilgrim's movement, prayer, pause, and gesture feeds into a central repository of sacred data. This is the algorithmic pilgrimage, where software replaces instinct and behavior is predicted, not discovered. MBS has introduced a soft framework where your Hajj journey is both spiritual and operational. Your Tawaf path is not only divine, it's machine calculated to avoid congestion. The call to prayer is synchronized with acoustic pattern recognition to ensure clarity across zones, and even emotional spikes, measured by tone, temperature, and physiological sensors, are flagged for anomalies. What happens when the sacred is subject to sensors? You get a religion with feedback loops. A mosque that learns, a pilgrimage that adapts to its worshippers while simultaneously adapting them. Internal reports speak of pilot projects using neural networks to interpret sermon content, flag sensitive theological language, and adjust volume dynamically in real time based on compliance scoring. This is not conspiracy, it's infrastructure. The sacred experience is becoming a performance of optimized devotion. Every step you take is one that's already been modeled, simulated, adjusted. Mecca is no longer just a site of gathering, it is a simulation of collective faith, and that simulation is governed by an unelected system, trained not on scripture but on behavior. This is where belief meets back-end, and where the imam's voice passes through software before it reaches your ears. The hidden network. What the pilgrims don't see is what governs them. Beneath the marble floors, behind the mihrabs, deep under the sandstone hills, exists the kingdom's most invisible infrastructure. MBS's gamble on sacred surveillance required a new kind of architecture, the hidden network. Every corner of the Grand Mosque connects to an encrypted mesh, Wi-Fi that doesn't serve the people, but the platform. Data collected through prayer tracking apps, contactless donations, and biometric gates is routed to secure cloud environments, segmented by region, nationality, religious affiliation, and flagged sentiment patterns. There are tiers to this system. Pilgrims from politically unstable countries are subjected to higher scan frequencies. Those affiliated with unofficial preachers are cross-checked against archived video content. Every spiritual act, even tears during dua, is a potential data point in a system that maps loyalty. Saudi intelligence officers have reportedly trained elite teams of cultural engineers, operatives who blend into the pilgrimage, observe behavior, and feed anomalies into the system. These aren't spies, they're sensors with human faces, and they don't need to intervene. The algorithm does that, rerouting crowds, dimming audio feeds, shutting down access to inner zones without explanation. It's not a fortress built with walls, it's a firewall of faith, where risk is detected before it becomes noise, and where the unseen wires that power the mosque form a nervous system far more advanced than any seen in the Islamic world. MBS's control is not brute, it's ambient, and in that ambient control, he has turned Mecca into the world's most monitored sacred site, not for attack prevention, but for ideological preemption. The theological pivot. With Vision 2030, MBS did not just aim to modernize the Saudi economy, he set out to reframe the core values of the kingdom. And nowhere is this clearer than in his soft rebranding of Mecca. Gone are the fiery sermons, the pan-Islamic banners, the foreign influence. In their place, curated messages, government-vetted scholars, and AI-reviewed khutbahs. The transformation is subtle, but total. Sermons are now streamed globally through state-managed platforms. Popular imams are pre-selected based on sentiment analysis and geopolitical neutrality. Even the spiritual language has changed. Phrases once charged with historical resistance are replaced by calm, generic affirmations of unity and reform. This isn't just moderation, it's engineering of moral tone. A new theology is emerging, one that aligns not with Sharia texts, but with Saudi policy. Insiders refer to it as hikmah programming, where wisdom is not drawn from revelation alone, but from curated behavioral outcomes. The result is a faith that serves the state, not the other way around, and MBS stands at its center, not as a prophet, but as a platform architect. In this theology, the Kaaba is no longer a symbol of divine mystery, it is a hub of optimized harmony, and the sacred experience has become a compliance ritual, one that serves the dual purpose of religious fulfillment and ideological validation. This is the theological pivot, and its epicenter is Vision 2030's most sacred node. The final test. All of this is bold, risky, maybe even heretical to some, but MBS is not just building for now, he's building for the next 1,000 years, and his final test is not infrastructure, it's reception. Will the Muslim world accept a Mecca that is optimized, structured and state-run? Will they see the new King Salman Gate not as a gate of control but of convenience? Will the future faithful embrace a journey curated by screens, sensors and systems? Or will they resist the invisible hand guiding their every move? Already, quiet discontent is spreading among independent clerics, diaspora communities, and older generations who remember Mecca before the code. But MBS is betting on the next generation, the pilgrims born into apps, raised on surveillance, trained by interfaces. For them, a biometric gate is not sacrilege, it's standard. For them, data isn't dangerous, it's divine. And in that shift, MBS sees victory, because once the interface becomes the faith, he doesn't just control the mosque, he controls the message, the map, the meaning. And for the first time in Islamic history, a single ruler may unify not just the land, but the lens through which the entire world sees Mecca. That is the gamble, and the odds are being calculated by the system he built. This is no longer a mosque. It's a motherboard, a place where the past bends to the future, where sacred becomes scripted and divine presence is passed by data. Mohammed bin Salman is not asking for permission. He's coding a new chapter in Islamic history, where Mecca becomes both message and medium, where belief is filtered, timed, and logged. It's not a betrayal of faith, he says, it's its evolution. But the question remains, when every prayer is scanned, when every sermon is scored, when every act of worship is watched, do you still believe freely? Or are you believing what the system wants you to believe? The Kaaba still stands, but what stands around it is entirely new. Would you step through that gate? Would you accept divine connection? On someone else's terms? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One reply will win a mystery luxury gift.